All right, Galaxy S7 Edge and an iPhone 6s. A lot of people might be either comparing these two phones to purchase, or they might be actually thinking about the iPhone 6s Plus. And it's a little bit bigger, probably fits more along the same lines as the Galaxy S7 Edge in terms of the size. But the guts inside the S6s and 6S Plus are the same, and so it's still a fair comparison. We're going to start off with the camera, just talk a little bit about the quality, look at the images, see how fast it focuses. So first of all, we'll do a side-by-side launch test to make sure nothing's open here on the Galaxy. We'll also make sure nothing's open on the iPhone as well, and then I'm going to hold these in my hand and I'm going to launch the camera at the exact same time, and we're going to see which one opens first. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Very, very close. Looks like a little bit faster here on the Edge. Now we're going to focus on this wood here in front of me. Really, really nice macro focusing here on the Galaxy. I mean, you can move that thing super close, and you can see that it focuses really well on that cut. Not so much for the iPhone. It looks like I've got to back it up to about there, which is maybe a ½ inch back behind or so. So macro focusing a little bit better there on the S7 Edge. Now we're going to just kind of put these down and just do a little point and shoot here. We're going to point at the driveway, get it in focus, boom, take a picture, and we'll go click on it for the gallery. Same thing here, we'll go click on the driveway in the photo mode, go boom, take a picture, and then we'll just take a look at these shots here side by side, see what we think. Maybe a little bit hard for you guys to see at home there on your computer screens, but I'm going to zoom in as tight as I can here. And it looks to me they're pretty close. I would say, if I had to look, I would say that the Galaxy's a little bit more blurry. You can see that right there. You can definitely see the blur there in the rocks. If we go over here to the iPhone, it's a little bit better, but not a whole lot better. We're about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock at night here, so it's starting to get a little bit dark. The iPhone's a little bit sort of mushy in its color and its kind of resolution. I wouldn't call it a whole lot better than the Galaxy, but it's certainly a little bit more sharper, whereas things are a little bit more blurred here on the S7. So anyway, obviously this is not a very thorough camera test. This is just a very quick camera test for side-by-side comparison. So we'll jump into the other differences between these two phones. Obviously iOS versus Android, we're not going to talk too much about that. That's really a different video. We're going to talk more about what you get for your money and kind of, how these things compare on a bigger picture. Camera, like I said, camera we did because camera's a big thing, a big selling point. Very good camera in the Galaxy S7 Edge, also a very good camera in the iPhone 6s. Other things we can talk about, waterproof build here on the S7 Edge, which is a fantastic addition to it. A lot of people, were worried about taking their phones, into the bathroom. They might drop it in the sink. They might drop it in the toilet. Well, this bad boy is sealed against water. You can actually dunk it, and you'll end up being all right. Not so with the iPhone. Another nice thing the Galaxy has in terms of its build is it has removable storage here, micro SD in the top. You can add, 64 gig, 128 gig cards to this bad boy and up the storage inside if you want to add movies or videos or whatever. You don't have to deal with syncing with iTunes or anything like that. You can just take the card out, plug it in, and you're good to go. Apple, on the other hand, has built-in storage and no waterproofing on the device, so you're stuck with whatever size phone you get, and if you run out of room, too bad. Time to buy another iPhone. So it's definitely nice to have in terms of an additional storage feature there on the Galaxy S7 Edge. Other things to talk about with the phones are their screen technology. We have LCD over here, IPS LCD display on the iPhone, followed by an AMOLED screen on the Galaxy S7. In my opinion, this version of AMOLED that Samsung has come out is leaps and bounds better than their previous versions. It doesn't look too cartoony. It looks high quality. The saturation level is finally sort of correct. It doesn't look, like the darks are, or excuse me, not the darks, but the colors are too saturated and too much pop and too much contrast. It just looks like a really, really well put together image. It's almost like an image on a table that you can just pick up, like a printed out picture. Whereas the iPhone is a little less color saturated, a little less sort of, eye-catching, I would say. Don't get me wrong, the display on the iPhone is fantastic, but if you ask me in a side-by-side comparison between these two devices, the Galaxy S7 has a really, really fantastic screen. Other things to consider when you're interested in purchasing one of these phones is fit in your hand. The iPhone 6 is substantially smaller in terms of things that you can reach, and for me, being a one-handed person, not one-handed, but one-handed phone person, I like the size of the 4.7-inch screen a little bit better. Now, however, in that same argument, this is a 5.5-inch screen here on the S7 Edge. It is actually really easy to reach things on this phone. I mean, it's a big screen, it's a big phone, but the slim design, the rolled edge screen, and just the build of this device makes it super, super nice to hold onto. It's comfortable, it feels great in your hand, and it's rather easy to reach things. Samsung also includes a multi-touch screen reducer in here, and so if you tap the home button 3 times, it'll actually shrink the screen down a bit, and you can end up using the phone one-handed. They shrink the keyboard too, so it's a little bit easier to get a one-handed mode on the Galaxy, in the same kind of way that the iPhone does the double tap on the home screen to kind of shrink some stuff down. So similar ways to make the screen smaller on these two devices, but definitely larger size here. Harder to use one-handed on the Galaxy S7. Let's just go ahead and launch some apps here real quick and see kind of app load time between the two devices. We'll launch Chrome here on both of them at the same time. See what ends up happening. A lot faster there on the iPhone. I'm going to go ahead and just close Chrome again real quick just to make sure that was a fair fight. Okay, we've got nothing open here on both of these phones, and we'll go ahead and launch them both. And again, yeah, quite a bit faster there on Chrome on the iPhone. We'll launch another couple apps here and just to see what things look like. We'll get rid of this guy, and then we'll get rid of Chrome here, and then let's launch maybe like Google Plus or something and see what happens. Okay, ready? We'll go to Google Plus on both of these. Looks like about the same. That one's still loading an image, so maybe about the same there on Google Plus. We'll go ahead and just shut these down. Again, boom, boom. And then we'll run back here. Let's go to, I think I've got Twitter up on both of these phones. We'll launch Twitter here now. A little bit faster there on, oh, actually no, we were waiting there, so about the same. A little bit faster on the Galaxy, but the iPhone had the new tweets message first. So we'll close that, we'll close this, and we'll go ahead and open one more app just to do a little side-by-side test here. Maybe I've got something like Instagram. Okay, there's Instagram there, and then we'll go down here to Instagram here, and then we'll launch them at the same time. iPhone just a hair faster. So you can see that, even though this is a top-of-the-line brand new Samsung phone, the iPhone 6s definitely keeps up, in terms of speed and usability of the device. This is a really sort of a cool photo to look at on these two phones. You can see that edge screen just wraps around, that whole image just wraps around the edge there. It's a really great example, side-by-side look at kind of the differences between these two phones. You can definitely see the bezel here all the way around the iPhone, and the Galaxy S7 just kind of, it just makes it one solid image and one piece of the display, and that to me is fantastic. I just absolutely love the build on the Galaxy. I love that edge screen. I think it's really great. Other things to talk about with these two phones are price. They're priced very, very similar, but the Edge is actually quite a bit, not quite a bit more expensive, but you're getting a more expensive phone, but it's how do I want to say this? It comes at a cost, I guess. The value of the Samsungs don't hold up as long as the value on iPhones. If you buy an unlocked iPhone and you buy an unlocked Galaxy, a year or two down the road, the iPhone is going to be worth more. It's going to be worth a higher percentage of its original cost than the Galaxy. So that's something to take in consideration as well. Starting price for a 16 gig model of an unlocked 6S in the United States is $650. Starting price of the Galaxy S7 Edge is $750, but that's for the 32 gig model. So it's not a huge comparison there. If you look at the iPhone, the next level up is a 64 gig, and that's $750. But again, that doesn't have the removable storage aspect to it. So they're priced roughly the same, but again, the value of the iPhone is going to hold itself longer than the value of the Galaxy. That may not be true in the future with this Galaxy S7 Edge. This is definitely one of the nicest Galaxies that Samsung has put out, and so the retail or resale market for the Galaxy may change in the future. We don't know, but if history is any sort of lesson for us, the Galaxies don't hold their value as long as the iPhone does. One other thing to talk about that people might be interested in is battery life. The iPhone 6s, at least my iPhone 6s, has a really great battery. I think I get about a day's worth of use out of it on average. Standby power is a very, very light use on this guy. Android has with Marshmallow, which is Android 6, has come around. It has done a lot for power usage. They've incorporated what's called doze, and so that uses very, very low power when the phone is not being used, and it's done a lot to sort of boost people's power usage and battery life while they use the phone. I would say that I get around a day's worth of use or so on the edge. Screen time on, with this guy around 3 hours or so. Very similar to what you'd get on an iPhone 6s. The iPhone 6s Plus is a little bit better battery life, but I don't notice any huge differences in battery, I guess is the point between these two phones. And so I wouldn't necessarily say that, one is way better than the other on the battery front. Again, they both don't have removable batteries, so you definitely want to carry an extra battery pack or an extra cable with you. One final thing to talk about would be updates and just the history of the updating the operating system. Apple is really great about releasing software updates quickly and seamlessly and instantaneously to their iPhone users. And as soon as the software is released, it's available for download on the phone. Really great, really well adopted by their users. They have like 60 or 70% adoption rate of software within the first 15 days or something. Android, on the other hand, when sequential Android versions are released, they're released to the Nexus phones first, followed by the carriers later and the OEMs later. And so Samsung is typically one of the slower, phone adopters of new software. And so, this phone may not receive the next version of Android immediately. Anywhere up to 6 months down the road, sometimes even longer before they get the next version. And so that's kind of a bummer if you've got a brand new phone and Google announces new features in their new software and you don't even have it or can't even get it for months, before it's been sort of tweaked by the OEMs and by the carriers and then made available on your phone. So something to consider if you're interested in current state-of-the-art software on your device. The Apple iPhone is the way to go. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this little side-by-side review here of the Galaxy S7 Edge and the iPhone 6s. Don't forget to check out everything else I have on YouTube. Rate, comment, and subscribe.